Tonight is the Monday Night Raw Go Home show, and it starts off with main event Jey Uso, the World Heavyweight Champion. He comes out and the crowd starts yeeting. He hugs the kids and stuff, the usual. And then he gets in the ring and starts his promo. It seems like main event Jey Uso gets a match at Forbidden Door with Seth freaking Rollins. Too many changes going on. Companies being bought. Everyone's going to war with one another. And all I see around me is pure chaos. The crowd cheers. Then he continues. With all these changes going on, one thing still remains the same. Main event Jey Uso is still going to be your World Heavyweight Champion. Now, my opponent is Seth freaking Rollins. The crowd boos. Jey continues. My family has a lot of history with Seth Rollins. I have a lot of history with Seth Rollins. While I don't think he has faced me at this level yet, he knows your boy can whip that ass, and Jey Uso will walk out of Forbidden Door still your World Heavyweight Champion. 4 letters, 1 word, Burn it down! Seth Rollins comes out to interrupt Jey Uso's catchphrase. Seth Rollins comes out laughing with Paul Heyman by his side. He stands at the top of the ramp and says, "See, Jey Uso, I'm well aware of how much you've grown. I mean, look at your waist, dude. You're the World Heavyweight Champion. You're at the top of the mountain on Raw. But that also leaves a huge target on your back at all times." And as soon as he says that, Braun Breaker appears behind Jey Uso and clothesline him. He flattens Jey Uso, leaving him laying, and the main event is scheduled for Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. We get a backstage segment. In the Judgment Den, we see Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. She has the Women's World title on her arm, and she looks around and says, "It's been a while since I've been here." Finn says, "Yeah, it's been a while. But listen, Rhea, the reason I've called you here is because this war between the Allied Wrestling Federation and those of us who stand against them, he starts, but Rhea interrupts him. She yells, 'Hey, I'm the Raw Women's Champion, and I will defend this title at any cost against anyone at any time. Now, if Becky Lynch wants to become Becky Two Belts again, she has to go through me, even if that means war. So don't try to talk me out of it, Finn, because you can't.' But Finn just smiles and says, 'Nah, Rhea, I was just going to say if push comes to shove, if you need help, you've got an army beside you.' And he extends his hand. Rhea looks at it and then asks, 'What about the rest of the crew?' Finn says, 'They'll understand once the time is right. Just trust me.' Rhea looks at him and then shakes his hand, and then Rhea walks off. Next is a match between Rey Mysterio and Gunther. It's kind of like a David versus Goliath match, pretty much. Rey Mysterio puts up a pretty valiant effort, hitting a 619 and even a frog splash on Gunther. But Gunther was just too powerful at this time. He slams Rey and then puts him in a sleeper hold. And with Rey Mysterio being quite smaller than Gunther, it's not going to take long for Rey to pass out, and Gunther wins the match. The rest of the show, it goes pretty smooth, and then we get a segment with Becky Lynch talking to Seth Rollins. Seth says, You ready to become the man once again, Becky? Becky responds, it's long overdue. We both have our battles at Forbidden Door, but let's not forget what's in front of us. You have to make sure Braun does what he needs to do. Let's make a statement tonight. They kiss, and she says, be careful out there. Then the segment fades, and it goes on to Braun Breaker making his entrance. His music hits, he power walks to the ring, gets in, and waits for his opponent. Jey Uso music hits, and it's pretty much a carbon copy of the entrance we got earlier. The crowd cheers, and he yeets all over the place. The bell rings, and then Seth Rollins' music hits again, because not only is he's gonna watch Braun Breaker throughout this match, he's gonna be on commentary. He grabs a headset, sits down, and as Jey Uso shakes his head, and he just mouths, I should have known. We pretty much get a 3-star match, and we're at the final third. Seth not really interfering right up until this point. Jey and Braun are going back and forth. They're in the middle of the ring, and then they break apart. Jey hits a super kick, and Braun Breaker starts to stumble. Jey Uso steps back, and then hits another super kick. Braun bounces off the ropes and then comes back. Then Jey Uso steps back and hits a third super kick, and Braun falls. Jey goes to the top rope for a frog splash, but Seth Rollins throws his headphones down and runs towards Jey Uso. He pushes him off the top turnbuckle, making Jey fall outside on the ring floor. The ref sees this and disqualifies Braun, giving Jey Uso the win. But it doesn't matter. Braun and Seth start beating the shit out of Jey Uso until AJ Styles runs and hits the ring. He attacks Seth Rollins, giving Jey enough time to recover and get Braun, who then escapes out the ring and gets Rollins out of there as well. They scramble up the ramp, with the final shot being the World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso and AJ Styles standing tall in the ring. And we fade to black. Wednesday Night Dynamite comes, and the main event is Bobby Lashley versus MJF versus Chris Jericho for a match with the AEW champion at Forbidden Door. So, the night kicks off with Wheeler Yuta. He comes out and just gets in the ring with the mic in hand. He puts the mic up to his mouth, and before he can even get a word out, Claudio's music hits. He also comes to the ring, gets a mic from ringside, and then sits on the top turnbuckle. He looks at Yuta and says, don't mind me, please, continue. Yuta looks annoyed, like his older brother just crashed his party and trying to steal his shine. But he continues. Now, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I'm here to announce that I am now a free agent in TKO as of tonight. So I am able to go where I want, when I want. When he pauses after that, Yuta comes down off the turnbuckle and says, are you done? Are you finished? Can I kick your ass now? He starts walking closer to Yuta. Yuta looks at Claudio, then dead at the camera, and says, screw it, and then throws the mic at Claudio and rushes him. The two start brawling. They brawl in the ring and then roll onto the floor, and then outside the ring. Claudio throws Yuta over at the announcer's desk. Yuta gets up and then tackles Claudio into the stairs. Claudio starts to knee Yuta in the face, and then security comes down and breaks up the melee. The wrestlers split apart, and the match is made. Claudio Castagnoli versus Wheeler Yuta, one-on-one at Forbidden Door. The next segment is backstage with the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. MVP asked Bobby, "Are you ready to bring the title here where it belongs? To make AEW a business company again?" Shelton Benjamin nods his head in agreement with MVP, then says, "Hey, I think he is." Bobby looks right at the camera, then says, "I think it's time we do business," and walks off to get ready for the main event. The show goes on till we get the segment right before the main event. It's Christian. He's on the phone with Shad Khan. He's looking to be taken out of the match at Forbidden Door, or at least face someone kind of easier, like his son, Nick Wayne. He supposedly gets a no and slams his phone down, breaking it in anger. Nick Wayne looks scared and steps back. Then Mama Wayne says, "Come on, Nick." Dad seems a little bit upset, and they walk off. Christian looks around looking for someone to take his anger out on, then spots someone in the distance. It's Tony Khan. He walks up to Tony and says, "Tony, talk to your dad. I just got this title. I'm not trying to lose it this early." Tony just turns to him, looks at him dead in the eyes, and says, "Christian, just do the match. You signed up for this. You joined the Federation with my father. So stop acting like a child." And Tony walks off. Christian just stares, knowing he's right. Then we fade to the main event. The main event starts, and Chris Jericho makes his way to the ring with Fozzy playing in the background. The crowd sings along, word for word, and Jericho makes his way to the ring and waits. Then MJF music hits. He makes his way to the ring, and he also just waits, looking at the ramp, waiting. Then Bobby Lashley makes his entrance. He looks kind of upset, but he's here to earn his shot at the title. He wants the AEW title to be big business. The three competitors get in the ring and they circle each other, waiting for the bell to ring. When Shad Khan appears on the Titantron, he says, "Look, gentlemen, it seems as if we have a little mix-up here. We have one person who was also supposed to be added on to this match. And here he comes right now." And Jon Moxley music hits. The three in the ring look confused, but like, well, fuck it, the more the merrier. Mox jumps in with a chip on his shoulder, and now he just waits for the bell to ring. Once the bell rings, MJF just gets out the ring and grabs a mic, and then saying while getting back in the ring, "Look, gentlemen, let's cut to the chase." He turns to the rest of them and just says, "We all gonna know who's gonna win this. It's me, MJF, because I'm better than you, and you all know it." And then he throws the mic at Chris Jericho, and they start brawling. The match goes on. It's a standard fatal four-way match, nothing too big, but in this match, Mox isn't trying to take much offense. He gets out the ring and lifts the apron. He starts throwing out all kind of weapons, kendo sticks, chairs, tables, whatever else he can get his hands on. And mind you, this is supposed to be a regular match. Rules are in place. But if you pay attention, Mox isn't hitting anyone. He's just wasting time. He wants to let the other three wear each other out. Thing is, they all notice this, and they charge at Mox. Jericho goes first, but Mox moves, and Jericho falls over the top rope. And then MJF runs behind him, and then jumps out the ring towards Jericho. But Jericho moves, and MJF crash and burns. Mox is resting, and Chris Jericho gets in the ring while the ref tends to MJF. MJF took a nasty fall. Jericho tries to run and make a surprise attempt code breaker on Mox, but as soon as Jericho gets about halfway, he gets speared by Bobby Lashley. Jericho rolls out the ring to recover, and while Bobby Lashley is getting up and a look at Mox, Mox grabs the brass knucks from his waist that he hid. And when Bobby Lashley turns around towards him, Mox kicks Bobby in the balls and then follows it up with the brass knucks and then hurries up and gets him in a Dirty Deeds position and hits it while the ref recovers and gets in the ring. Mox throws the brass knuckles behind his back while the ref doesn't see it and then go for the count. 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley is going to Forbidden Door. He is challenging Christian for the AEW World Title. The last shot is the ref holding up Jon Moxley's hand, and Christian comes out to the ramp to look at his challenger, and the screen fades to black. It's Friday Night SmackDown, and it starts off with Cody Rhodes. He comes out alone. He makes his way down to the ring with a little pep in his step. He's more serious this go round. He gets in the ring, grabs a mic, and he asks the local crowd, "So, what do you want to talk about?" He pauses, then he says, "Well, I'll tell you what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this whole Alliance Wrestling Federation business we got going on, shall we? You see, every once in a while, you have some new, powerful, young faction coming up, and you see them trying to make a name for themselves. You know, like the Nexus or the Shield. But these guys, nowadays, one of them is the man who is on the board of TKO, Dwayne Rock Johnson, and the crowd boos. Or you got our current WWE Undisputed Champion, the 17-time champion, John Cena, and the crowd boos again. Cody continues. See, these guys are vets of the business. They've been around the block a while, and while so have I didn't come in and change shit and then just leave when a house burns down. Cody looks in the camera and says, "Talking about you, Dwayne." Cody turns and looks at the crowd and then says, "Let's talk about Super Cena." Cena has made a name for himself, burying up-and-coming talent. He looks at the commentary desk at Wade and says, "Did some great work back in the day, Wade," and then nods his head. Wade Barrett just smiles and waves his hand. Cody continues. "So, John, I'm calling you out, and I'm not leaving until I get an answer." And Cody just waits. But a voice came over the speaker, and it's John Cena. You can't see him, but you can hear him. He says, "Fine speech, kid, but if you want me, tonight, you must get past him." Roman Reigns comes out. He comes out in his all-black tribal chief outfit with the Olafala around his neck. And this time, he has on a golden glove. He stays on the outside of the ring, and Cody Rhodes says, "Cut the music." And then he looks at Roman and says, "So what? Are you one of their subordinates now?" Roman just looks at him, then gets a mic, and then says, "Look, I don't give a damn about any of this. Not the Federation, not you, not any of the guys in the back. I just want my title back. And if I have to beat you again, I will do it. Cody cuts him off. Well, see, Roman, I've beaten you as well. And you know what? I agree with the man we can't see right now, John Cena. I say tonight, we see who's truly top dog. And I promise you, I'm going to take what's rightfully mine and belongs to my family. And as soon as Cody Rhodes finishes his sentence, the Bucks come in, one on each side. But this time, Cody was prepared. He stumps his foot twice, and Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson come from under the ring and begin to attack the Bucks. They brawl while Cody and Roman just stare at each other. Security comes to stop the melee, and the whole time, Cody and Roman just won't stop staring at each other. Once everything calms down and everybody starts going to the back, Roman looks one more time at Cody and just nods his head, and Cody nods back. And then Roman walks off to the back, and Cody just stares at him as we go to commercial. The rest of the show goes pretty smoothly. We get interviews from different people, from WWE to AEW to TNA. We even got some from New Japan. Everybody wants to have their input or put their 2 cents in on this whole wrestling war we got going on. And after all of that, we get a segment right before the main event. And it's Gallows and Anderson talking to Cody. When the SmackDown GM just walks up, he informs them that the Young Bucks want to face Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson in a tag team match at Forbidden Door, which they happily accept. And everyone just smiles and look at Cody and say, "You're the last one left. Good luck." The main event comes on. Both wrestlers make their way down to the ring. They both walk with a purpose. They're putting it all on the line. One match, winner takes it all. They basically have their WrestleMania 40 match without all the interruptions. We get Superman punches, Cody doing callback moves from his Ring of Honor days. We get yay boo spots. And then we get Roman swinging for his boo spot. But this time, Cody ducks and then pushes Roman into the ropes. But Roman comes back, tries to spear, but Cody jumps over him. This time, Roman goes for the ropes. Cody stands and tries to clothesline him. And once he does, Roman ducks and spears him. Roman gets the pin. 1, 2, but Cody kicks out. He kicks out at 2. A part of Roman can't believe it, but the other half respects Cody. He gets up and then yells at Cody to just stay down. But Cody tries to roll him up for a pin, and Roman kicks out. They start to brawl and grapple, and Cody actually gets the upper hand and does a drop kick on Roman Reigns. And then in a rare moment, Cody hits a moonsault, and then he tries to set up for a crossroads. And then all of a sudden, The Rock appears on the Tron. He says nothing, he just watches. But just long enough to get Cody's attention off of Roman. And when Cody turns around, he turns around right into a spear. Roman flattens Cody. Then he picks Cody up, throws him into the ropes, and hits his second vicious spear. And then he pins him. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns is going to the Forbidden Door. The ref raises Roman's hands, and then Roman just stares at The Rock menacingly, because Roman didn't want to win like this. The ending shot is Roman Reigns staring at The Rock. The screen goes black, and all you can hear is The Rock saying, "See you at Forbidden Door."